All right, good afternoon, everyone. What is up? Welcome to the channel, the Danny channel. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, and this is where I give commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. Thank you guys for joining me. Let's get started because right now, before we get started on what was an awesome episode of Friday Night Smackdown, let's talk a little bit about wrestling news. As you noticed earlier tonight, Mr. McMahon himself opened up the show. Now, I didn't think we would see him because, as reported, he is stepping down from his chairman duties and his daughter, Stephanie McMahon, is taking over. Now, let me just say this because I know why this is happening. I just got to make this human. Apparently, allegedly, once again, McMahon is having affairs. Now, this is what I want to say. Can someone explain? First off, I didn't even know 76-year-old people were capable of having the urge. I thought that kind of slowed down, but I guess not. And Bill Cosby can testify to that. But in any event, Mr. McMahon was seen tonight, and I made a comment. Someone did a community post about Mr. McMahon having affairs and having to step down, and I'm like, how do you have affairs at your age? How do you do that? Someone said he's a genetically jackhammer. And someone else said, this one was actually funny. Someone said that I say, how do you have affairs at 76? Does your urge die by 70s? And the person replied, no chance in helicopter. But either way, Mr. McMahon, I guess Mr. McMahon showed up to welcome everybody because that was the last time he was going to be on active duty because he has scandal. When Tyler Perry's The Oval comes to WWE, you get Vince McMahon. Except the son is not a sick, twisted perv like the Oval's president's son, for those of you who are Tyler Perry fans. But just making funny references because, with everything that's going on. And how must Linda feel about this? I wonder how Linda feels. I mean, I guess that Linda is still married to him for business purposes. Because I remember when Undertaker made his entrance in King of the Ring 1999, and Jerry Lawler was like, JR, you don't understand business. To Vince and Linda, that's a marriage. Yes, King. No, man, to Vince, that's a merger. It's business. That was the best Jerry Lawler voice I could do. But with that being said, Mr. McMahon opened up the show, welcoming us all to Friday Night Smackdown. And of course, Riddle comes out later. We still have no pyro. To give a heartfelt speech and tribute to Randy Orton. He's even said he was going to play a song that we hadn't heard in a while. I thought it was going to be Burn My Light, but it was Voices. And I got to be honest, I do prefer Voices a little bit more because it fits his dark character. And boy, did Randy Orton look so much darker when he was bald in 2009 through 10. So, we opened up the show after Mr. McMahon and Riddle. We opened it up with Madcap Moss and Corbin. So, in our match, it was a last laugh match, as they called it. And honestly, I would have started chanting Big Bald Wolf, but the fans were chanting Corbin sucks. And fun fact, I did not know this, but Madcap Moss, whom I used to call Magic Mike Moss because I like to find funny names to make fun of villains. But now that he's babyface, I don't call him Magic Mike anymore. But Madcap Moss tonight went against Corbin, and I did not know he was from Suplex City capital, Minneapolis. However, he is, and thankfully, he got another clean sweep, just like Cody Rhodes did. Unfortunately, he's going to be out for the same amount of time that a woman endures pregnancy. 9 months. Not dissing pregnancy. I'm just using an example. But either way, the big bald wolf brought in the choke slam and everything. But Madcap Moss did his version of his swinging net breaker not once but twice. And the first time he did it, I was like, dude, go for the pin, dude, because if you don't, it's gonna backfire. Thankfully, it didn't, and Corbin got laughed out of the arena for talking smack to Pat McAfee, and Pat McAfee somehow knows how to pay tribute to Minneapolis because he did the chant that Minneapolis does, just like Ohio does. OHIO. So he had fun with Minneapolis and they laughed him out of the building. And speaking of laughing matters, the next match was a bit of a laughing segment as the New Day came out laughing at Corbin, and they went and faced Jinder, who at one time was a main card player, now mid card guy, with Shanky. Another laughing matter is Shanky coming out dancing. A lot of laughs tonight. Awesome show, but we got some laughs as well. And when he got in the ring to face Kofi, he got serious. He hit Kofi with that forearm that was heard all the way to where I live. I heard that all the way down here. And so he gave the forearm and the clothesline that sent Kofi flipping and spinning like Rikishi did every time Rikishi sold the clothesline. And just when we thought Shanky was about to get real, Xavier Woods starts playing the guitar, the trombone, and Shanky starts dancing long enough for Kofi to recover and give the Trouble in Paradise. And Jinder got the Trouble in Paradise because Jinder had to tag Shanky out so that he could get to business. But he got lured into the Trouble in Paradise. New Day wins. I cannot wait for Big E to return, by the way. So, moving forward, we have the segment of Drew McIntyre and Sheamus with Adam Pearce. And of course, Adam Pearce was set to announce who was supposed to be in the Money in the Bank match because, as you remember last week, we opened up the show real well with Drew and Sheamus fighting it out to see who would be a part of the match. No one was able to finish, so there was no conclusion. Thankfully, we had Pearce come out and announce that he announced Sheamus to be in the match first. Sheamus starts getting happy and running his mouth only to get attacked by Drew McIntyre. And Adam Pearce had to calm Drew down to mention that Drew was in the ladder match as well, which is what I said last week that I wanted to happen. I wanted Drew and Sheamus to be in the match at the same time because since they both proved that they could fight and tear each other apart and that they're high quality guys, why not have both of them in the match? And here's the thing, before I go any further, before the match happened, there was a particular segment backstage where Sheamus told Ridge and Pete Dunne, who is Butch, to stay backstage. But here's the part that I found totally ridiculous. Sheamus told Pete Dunne, and as for me in this channel, we call him Pete. We don't do all these ridiculous new names. He told Pete Dunne to stay in the back. He said, control him. He told Ridge, darn all these R words. He told Ridge to control Pete, and then looked at Pete and said, stay. What in the frocking helicopter did I just hear? Pete Dunne has gone from being one of the top tier performers in NXT history to being talked to like a freaking dog. What in the flopping helicopter is going on? And for those of you who didn't notice, I put an R behind the F. But either way, this is bull steak. Lord Lord have mercy. Speaking of, let's move on because we got other things to talk about. We have Raquel Gonzalez facing off against Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler took control of most of the match, targeting Raquel's left leg because she is tall and sometimes you got to chop down the redwood. And she went for the left leg. Thankfully, she was not facing Teen Titans Go because Robin is the strongest left leg. So, but tell Robin, be conscious of protecting the left leg. That was a funny episode of Teen Titans Go. I think Teen Titans, the original version, was funnier. I'm in a laughing mood tonight. But either way, what's her name? Targeted Raquel's leg and took control of most of the match because we all know Shayna Baszler is a mixed martial arts star and has a fetish for breaking bones. But either way, or twisting bones rather. She has a fetish for one of those things. It arouses her. But either way, nonetheless, somehow Raquel went for the Tejada Bomb and shockingly, but some of you will appreciate this, she went for that kind of pinfall. That little pinfall that everyone's in love with now. Okay. Now, before we get to some important matters at hand, we saw Max Dupree. We were set to see Max Dupree under a spotlight, and as we all know, Max was known as LA Knight, and this character is fucking ridiculous. What? I have no idea what in the flopping helicopter Max Dupree talked about when he was talking about drowning, doing juices and guilty pleasures. That didn't sound too PG, but I don't know what the helicopter's going on. But either way, I said helicopter. But either way, weird. And of course, what's even stranger, we got Walter. And I call him Walter because that... Walter's new name... I can't say it. It's... The new name is cringy. But Walter is bragging and... No, his Imperium mate is speaking his praises like Paul Heyman. And Walter gets his last couple of words in. And Walter's going to face Ricochet next week in a rematch. And I think Walter's going to dominate the Intercontinental Championship reign. And I think when he gets to UK at Labor Day weekend, I think like Drew McIntyre, Walter, yes, Walter, is going into UK as a fan favorite. Kind of like Bret Hart is an international superstar. So even when he was heel in the States, he was babyface everywhere else. And he refused to put anyone over anywhere else. He went to Saudi Arabia and he was supposed to face the Undertaker at a special event somewhere around there. And he refused to put even the Undertaker over because he's so international. But he's in Saudi Arabia, not Canada. I don't know. But with that being said, let's get down to some real serious business. Before we get into the main event, let me talk about a couple of small things that happened this week also. We mentioned Mr. McMahon earlier, and I wanted to talk to you guys about something else that happened. I heard it has been reported that Sasha Banks is released and I wanted to bring that up because during the match between Shayna and Raquel, I noticed a Sasha Crew for Life sign in the crowd. And I wanted to talk about how, for a second, I really hope it's not true, but if it is, jam, jam, jam! With a J, not a G. I'm an alternative swear. I don't swear, I use alternatives, as you know earlier. But jam it, jam it, jam it. Sasha is gone. God jam it. Either way, I'm going to miss her. I really am going to miss seeing her perform. She was awesome. She's awesome, man. Also, I talked about what happened earlier. It's been a crazy week, ladies and gentlemen. It really has. It's been a crazy week. Christian turning heel and attacking Jungle Boy on Dynamite, and it's just been a. And Jeff Hardy. I covered the Jeff Hardy story, and for from what I knew, but I covered it before I saw the footage that was released. And here's the thing: there was a piece of me that was a little selfish that said I wish they would let him go. But one thing about it is you can't reward bad behavior. But I really am praying that the guy gets help because the guy has. Here's the thing: the guy is a father. He has a wife and a daughter, and they are affected by this. So I'm sending my thoughts and my prayers to them, and I hope Jeff gets the help he needs. But before I get into the main event, what in the helicopter is Matt's wife thinking? It's gonna be a ugly family reunion if they get together on the 4th of July. I understand you don't want your husband to get hurt, but to mock, it was almost like a mockery. And if I'm wrong, forgive me. Y'all tell me I'm wrong. But when Matt's wife sent that TikTok video, it was like, what the frock just happened? What? Well, that's that's your brother-in-law. Let's get to the main event before I get hot. It's just that's not nice. You don't do that to somebody that. If you have a sibling and they married to somebody, you're supposed to love them as your own, not go to social media and bash them. Jesus be my peace. Either way, let's get down to this main event that was top 10 match of the year caliber to me. So we had Roman Reigns. Riddle came out and paid tribute to Orton earlier, and he had bunnies. Tonight, when in the entrance for the match, he had fishes. And him and Roman was off the chart. Riddle came kicking and swinging, and Roman came and had his little Superman uppercut, or should I call it the punch of Thanos. He came uppercut that. It was very even. This match was very even. And Roman matches are not that even. It's usually Roman Reigns taking control of half of the match and then the guy tries to fight back. Traditional heel versus babyface kind of stuff that you'll be seeing me talk about in my Money in the Bank 2016 review coming this Sunday. But either way, it wasn't that scenario because it was very even. Riddle came kicking and swinging. Roman mocked Randy Orton by doing the sideplex on the tables, but Riddle came back. He talked to Randy on camera, mocking him, saying, "What's up, Randy? Where you at? You don't want none of this." So, Randy Orton is at home watching. Riddle comes back and gives a knee to face, a power slam, and then pays homage to Orton later on doing the sideplex of his own before going for the apron DDT, vintage Riddle. Roman counters the RKO attempt the first time to go for his Superman punch, which gave us a 2.99 count. That was almost 3 right there. That really was. But Riddle came back swinging with more. Roman attempted the spear and got the RKO for the 2 count. Riddle went for the Rolling Thunder and attempted a leap off the second rope to do something, but Roman caught it with the spear and 1, 2, 3. It's ironic that during the match we saw Riddle also go for the Whisper in the Wind, which is one of Jeff Hardy's moves. Again, hope the best for Jeff Hardy. And speaking of, let's just shift back for a second. I saw the footage of Jeff Hardy, and what was scary to me was that Jeff Hardy was drunk on a road full of cars and semi trucks. And thankfully, he didn't get hit by any of those guys. I don't know why the police had their guns drawn, but apparently one of the cops is a wrestling fan because they did a fist pump with Jeff Hardy before taking him in. And he did a test, a sobriety test, and he couldn't even stand on both of his feet. And when he tried to lift his foot, he almost slipped and fell. And I'm not telling anyone else to do, but it's stuff like that that encourages me to stay straight edge. And my birthday's coming soon, so 2 days after John Cena returns on the 27th is my birthday, and I'm drinking soda. I'm a grown guy. I'm drinking sodas. No alcohol for me. I'll play it safe. Stuff like that motivates me to say straight edge like Punk. But I'm not telling anyone else what to do. It just, alcoholism is scary. Whiskey is not his friend, but it is definitely his enemy, and I'm praying for Jeff to get better. But back to this great match. A great match. And Roman Reigns, as he was getting ready to celebrate, I looked at the time because I thought something big was about to pop off. And I was right, because as soon as he said, Minneapolis, acknowledge me, because there's no one left. Guess who comes back? Another Minneapolis superstar, Brock Lesnar. And I popped. I almost blew my voice out when Brock Lesnar came back. Brock's back and obviously wants a rematch because while unifying the championships at WrestleMania Night 2, he was champion, which means he has the right to a rematch clause, which will probably take place at Money in the Bank. Perfectly, because Money in the Bank is one of the top 5 pay-per-views. So, what do you think about tonight's broadcast? I thought it was awesome. Let me know your opinions in the comments section below. I'm your host, Daniel Cody. That's all the time I got for you today. I'll be back with another review on all things wrestling. See ya.